You're on mute, by the way.
Okay. All right, we in this. So,
Yeah,
uh-oh.
yeah. Peace, everyone.
Yeah, peace. Um,
I heard you say, "Oh, that's the problem." Yeah, man.
okay.
All right, Sister Kashia said, "No, no, what? You can't hear us." She usually comes in with loud and clear.
I know. Okay. She.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Yeah, man. All right. So we live. We in this.
Yeah, we in this.
We're here tonight. You know, Aki Lo, Master Antonio in the building. Breaking down um, Samurai Jack. You know, first three episodes, which is the original pilot of the show. Um, and the show was created and directed by, um, gotta look at my notes, Gendy Tartakovsky. Like I kept saying it, I kept forgetting it. But yeah, Gendy was a Russian immigrant, immigrated to Chicago, actually, of all places, from Russia, which was real interesting, right? But he was the creator of the show. He also created Peace, Akio Deidre and Akuya. Peace. He also created Dexter's Laboratory. You know, he worked on Two Stupid Dogs, Batman the animated series. Like he's got a lot under his belt, and it also stars Phil Lamar, who is the voice of our main character Jack. You know, or they call him Jack. You know,
Bruh, I didn't
uh,
know that.
yeah, Phil. Yeah, he does a lot of many voices, right? You know, he voiced Static. You know, Virgil from Static Shock. He voiced um, he voiced a bunch of characters, man. Like from all over. The Hermes from Futurama. He voiced yeah, he voiced a lot of people. He voiced your boy, John Stewart from Justice League.
Yeah, I
Word.
know. Yeah, I know he did that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. He said that voice is like a homage to his pops because his pops was from Detroit. That's where the character's from. But yeah, with this show, Samurai Jack, the reason I chose these three pilot episodes was because I love the theme of identity and educating someone, but educating them specifically for their purpose. That was something that I really enjoyed about these first three episodes, and you got to see him go through the training montage in the beginning, um, and then in the second episode he sort of had to adapt, which he's shown that he's very good at. This character Jack, he's very quiet and straightforward, but he's also really quick to adapt and use what he has around him or the little bit limited information that he has to like innovate. You can see a lot of that with this character. So he sort of learns through experience rather than trickery or deception. So you may hit him once, but he usually comes back with that understanding. But yeah, man, brother Loke, you had anything to add? I know you said you didn't realize Phil Lamar was you know um, the character of the voice actor.
Yeah, bro. Like, I didn't think about it. Usually you could distinct it. That his voice is distinct, so I didn't know that he was even in there. I knew who Maker was. I knew he was there, but other than that, I couldn't I I couldn't catch it. That was it. I couldn't catch it. You know what I'm talking about? And I mean, Samurai Jack is good. I mean, all the basically all the shows you listed, they are good. Especially Batman the animated series. But this was very interesting because there's hardly any, well, there's very little speaking, but you can get a lot out of it with just no talk. Saying no talk. So I liked it for that.
Yeah, man, for sure, for sure. And that's one of the main things I liked about the show too, because they use it's sort of like Jack. It's really simple, and they use all the tools at their disposal. They had some great art direction as well in terms of the action scenes and the choreography and the backgrounds and the color palettes and everything. Um, Scott Willis was one of the character designers who's really good at making backgrounds. He's a really good traditional artist. And this show, it came out back when people were still using pen and paper. It wasn't like it's not like today where they're using like more digital media to make film. You just got a tablet and you got everything in one place. They actually had to paint and draw everything. So that was cool too. Um, I like the mythos of the show because you see this shadowy entity known as Aku, who's voiced by Mako or Mako, um, who also voiced Uncle Iroh, from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And he plays a really good, loving and guiding and nurturing uncle, but he also plays a really good villain. I liked him as a villain, and you could see like the glee, you could feel the glee and the excitement coming off of how much he enjoyed that role. So that was good to see too. And the show starts off with Aku, who had been basically petrified, like he had been defeated in a war prior to the show, and he was basically defeated by an enchanted sword, right? Which we'll get into later. But he is beaten and he is petrified, and basically a solar eclipse is what revives him. Like a total eclipsing of light. So he needed an environment of absolute darkness in order to revive. So he comes back and scheming from the first second. He's looking around like, all right, once again I'm back here to smite the world with my darkness. And that's it. So he goes straight to the kingdom of the man who had imprisoned him, and he was basically the emperor, and he also happens to be Jack's father. Because if you just catch the show, like if you didn't watch the beginning and you just saw like one of the episodes, you'd assume he's just a regular random samurai. You didn't realize he's a prince, you know, um, which was interesting because Aku says something about his bloodline later on. But yeah, that's the beginning, and then it cuts to the emperor, speaking to a young Jack, when he's still a young child, and he's like, he's telling him the story of how Aku attacked his kingdom when he was a very young emperor, and how he basically had to fend him off, because ordinary weapons, mortal weapons, can't hurt Aku. You need something enchanted. You need something blessed to hurt him. Otherwise, he's just gonna take it and throw it right back at you, no matter what. And what happens is, oh, peace, Abu Cruz, peace, 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 Oranite. What happens is his father goes up to the mountain because he remembered his father's telling him like up on this mountain there's like three monks that live up there, and he's basically because I need to defeat this great evil. So they did, and he did, and he left him petrified. But he warns his son Jack. He's like, be careful. You have to stay alert because evil can always resurface, and it's almost like a metaphysical thing, because no matter how much you think you have your darker side integrated or subdued, there's always a chance for you to fall. There's always a chance for you to choose to do the wrong thing or to choose your negative nature or your satanic nature. So you always have to be aware that it's always present. And he's like, beware because evil, um, when you least expect it, evil could be right behind you, you know. And Jack does this thing like he's playing around with the idea, but yeah, yeah. So I'll leave it at that. Anything that I missed so far, brother Love?
Well, me, it's like, you know, Jack's not even a samurai because samurai is a class, and he's the son of the emperor. He's the prince. So I was, for me, I was getting technical. Like, how you a samurai and you're the prince? It's not like you're the son of a shogun or thing like that, or a patriarch of a clan or anything, or a warrior class, because that's what the samurai is, a warrior class. So I got confused, but other than that, I would say, I like how Aku was depicted. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, I was getting Southeast Asian vibes looking at Aku. And I think the gems that the Emperor was giving young Jack, what I'm talking about, he was setting him up, for he was just training him, what I'm saying? And I like how it's the Emperor that's giving him his training, because like historically you don't see emperors doing that. They leave it to somebody else. But here you have the emperor actually training his son and teaching him. So that I think that was just phenomenal. You know what I'm talking about? So I would say that.
Yeah, even the aspect of the emperor being the one who is also the hero, because even with historically, you see emperors or rulers like they have a champion. You even see it in a lot of mythology or in a lot of media. Like the emperor would have like this one person who they're like, yeah, I need you to take care of this guy for me, because he's ruining the kingdom. I'll stay here, make sure everything's tight, but I need you to go on the front lines and handle, you know, whatever this is that's coming at us. I don't know. Villages are being burned and everything. Yeah, just handle it for me, please. You know, if, if it's not too much trouble. But I would say, even though like you had to point out, I gotta say with the execution, like you had to point out to me all of the inaccuracies because I was so enamored by the concept, I didn't care. Until you pointed it out. It's like, yeah, he isn't a samurai. That's true. Even if he was, he at that point he would be more like Ronin Jack. Not Samurai Jack.
Exactly, because he don't have a basically, a clan leader that he serves under. You know what I'm talking about? So, even though he has a katana, I mean, emperors had katanas. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't. One, he was basically, just in, I don't want to say kimono, but he was just in, Japan, in his regular Japanese clothes. It wasn't like he was always donning, samurai armor, just suited up, with the headgear and whatnot. You see that like in like episode 3. That's when he starts wearing it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, even though he does have, a mon, which is, Japanese coat of arms, basically it's the imperial coat of arms, you could say. It's not like regular samurai coat of arms. It's basically the imperial's coat of arms, because all of a sudden, he carries it wherever he goes. So I mean, that's why I was like, yeah, he can't be a samurai. Not if his father's the emperor. You know what I'm saying? It sort of don't make sense unless you got upgraded from that. You know what I'm saying? And even then, historically, samurai families never took uh the the rank of emperor. Like I said, they did shogun. You know, that's what shogun was for. But peace, Shem, the joy. Sister Shia got a question up in the chat.
Yeah, yeah. I just saw it in the chat. She had expressed that she liked how he went through all of the different disciplines, that he learned through, and it helps understanding how he processes and endures. And she also asked, how important do you think it was for Jack to go through all he experienced in the first episode? I think it was. I think it was super important because of what came later. Even the fact that his father was teaching him what he was teaching him, he did so because he knew that, like, one, Aku was coming back for sure. His father was a no dummy. Like, he had the mural all up on the wall and everything. Like, y'all don't forget, he Debo coming back. Y'all got to be ready for him. Tuck your chin in, make sure you do your push-ups. He's coming back. So his father already, like, as you could see, he already had everything set up. And he taught his wife what the plan was. As soon as you see this dude, the first place to send him. All you got to do is send him to the first place. Put him on this ship. That's it. They'll handle the rest. And I didn't tell everybody. I Brother Lowe will get into this. I went across dimensions and timelines and everything. Like, people who ain't even supposed to be in the same time period. I told everybody, this is my son. Y'all know the crest. I'm the emperor. I'm not the king. I'm not the chief. I'm not the ruler. I'm the emperor. I rule over kings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like, see, that was another thing for me, because it was like, well, if I get technical and talk about it, it's like, it's Japan. They don't really have trade routes and things like that. If it's China, it's a different story. You know what I'm saying? But he's going over to, Arabia, and then Africa, and then, like I say, to me, Jack was already a time traveler. You know what I'm talking about? Because he's going places that really, or going to civilizations that pretty much was done away with. When he goes to Egypt, ancient Egypt was done, son. No, nobody dresses like that anymore in the Middle Ages. And when he goes to Greece, nobody dresses like that anymore. You know what I'm saying? But then you can tell that when he goes to dang on basically Britain and talks to Robin Hood, that's that's pretty much the future past. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, like I pointed out to you, I was like, why is he going to Robin Hood or Britain to learn archery when the samurai have their own bows and arrows and their own way of archery, and you don't see it. And not only that, they use a different type of bow. You know what I'm saying? Whereas and even Robin Hood wasn't even using the standard British longbow. You know what I'm talking about? So I was getting confused, but I was getting technical. Then he's messing with the Vikings, and it's like, huh? you know, Then he's learning Greek wrestling. Then he's learning, riding from ancient Egypt. Then he's learning stick fighting from the melanin dominant people, yeah, they, and we ain't riding on horses or camels or nothing, we running. It's like, what I just couldn't, but yeah.
Right. You know who that montage did remind me of, in terms of just training in different parts of the world, having rich parents, your parents get taken away from you. I was like, Jack, is Jack Batman?
Yeah, it was like, him learning, him learning astrology was weird, you know, in a sense. He was learning like Arabian type astrology. I was like,
But he learned it from his people.
but he learns from his people.
Right, which was
But
interesting. So would that
exactly.
even? I can't even ask it that would point to, his people interacting, like having regular interactions. One, like you said, they don't have the trade routes, and two, for the context of the story, it doesn't matter. You know,
Yeah, I know, for the context of the story, it don't matter. But usually, they, first it was like first it was basically like the Portuguese that got there because they had the priests. Usually it went to it like that, but then you had the Dutch, maybe the Germans, and then of course the Americans. But it's like I got confused because it's like Arabia, you know, does not doesn't add up to me,
Man,
and
he learned from
Vikings
yeah, he learned from the British and the Mongols when he was young. So you know,
exactly,
the
especially.
timeline.
And the Japanese probably wouldn't even been cool with the Mongols because historically the Mongols tried to invade Japan. They failed, but they tried to invade Japan.
Yeah, the Mongols shouldn't have been cool with nobody unless they already took them over. you know, but yeah, man. But yeah, the Aku does come back, and he goes straight for the royal palace. The archers tried to stop him, the spearmen tried to stop him, and what you see is any like human, ordinary weapon, anything that you throw at him, he could basically absorb it and throw it right back because he doesn't have a physical form. He's just condensed evil. Basically, that's how they depict him. Like um, even Aku, you have also in the Street Fighter series, you have Akuma or Akuma. That's how we say it over there. Yeah, but with Akuma, he's basically um, he embraces the dark side of this energy that the main characters, Ryu and Ken, learn. It's an assassination style. Like people teach it for assassination. It's a fighting style, hand-to-hand combat, and you also learn to use the ki. And it was designed so you could kill people. But Akuma's brother, he learned a different way to where you could use it in harmony, to harmonize with yourself. It wasn't used for killing; it was used for self-defense. But Akuma wasn't feeling that, so he embraced all of the negativity of it. But you have that root there, Aku, which is where you get shadow, or it can also mean to open or to begin. Depending on how you spell it with the kanji. But yeah. Oh, I also greet everybody else who's coming in. Peace, Yam the Joy. Peace, Emma Precious. Peace, in South Darlene.
Peace, peace. This is another thing because I'm getting technical. He learns everything else, but you don't see him learning how to fight with a katana. That's the weird thing. You know what I'm saying? You see him with the Shaolin monks, and they teach him how to basically fight with a dao, which is a saber. But you don't see him learning how to really. You can't fight that way with a katana. You know what I'm talking about? So I'm like, how does he learn how to fight with a katana? You don't see him have a boken. Well, it wasn't Japanese, so you don't see him have a kendo. No, nothing. I mean, how does he know? How does he know how to fight with that thing? You know what I'm saying? He's
Yeah,
been away. He's been on walkabout. I'm
yeah.
confused.
You get that clip of him sort of practicing with the sword after he gets it from his mother. I have no idea how long he was in that room with all the Buddhas practicing, but you do see him practicing with it. And another thing about Jack too, though, which is made clear throughout the later episodes of the series, but even in this episode, even if he's never really encountered something before, he can sort of look at how it works and just adapt to it, you know. And you do see that in episode three, especially, you know. But he has an episode where he's turned into a chicken, and he learns how to use them claws effectively. Pretty soon, So no matter what he gets placed in, he does tend to adapt, which was which I thought was key, and it has a lot to do with his character, but I suspect it also has a lot to do with the way that he was raised and educated.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Oh,
I
peace,
was
chief.
yeah, peace chief.
Um,
Um,
he said, scratchy audio is happening once again. I'm not sure. Is it on my side or on the low side?
I don't know.
You have your headphones in, Brother Low?
Yeah, but then I take them out and they still scratch.
Uh, okay, Chief Viewer says, how can we apply the principles in this cartoon for our own edification? Um, yeah, I was just speaking to that in terms of the education and the upbringing, specific to what Jack was meant to do. And the thing about his upbringing was it was all like, I saw it as a value of project-based learning because everything he learned and applied it right away. And he had to keep applying it throughout his life. It wasn't learning something, he wasn't learning something just in case he would use it, even though I think that that does have some value. He was learning all of these things because he would definitely have a use for it because he knew what he was going to be up against in the future. And it was something that he had to uphold, because his father made it very clear that this enemy, Aku, this force was coming back, and he had to prepare for it, and not just physically but mentally. Um, okay, Sister Kashia says that's you, but you can be heard. Brother Low.
Okay,
Mm,
all right. Well,
okay,
okay. Uh,
I'm gonna mute out while you're speaking. Emma Precious says that may need to happen. That might help.
okay. I would say what you can apply is, well, one, um always keep your well, maybe your eye, or your first eye, towards not evil but wickedness, because that's one thing his father always talks about. You know what I'm saying? But he used evil. Evil's always lurking here, evil's always lurking there. you know and then I would say, what I'm saying, um one thing another thing you can apply is culturing your children, like Jack, going to various parts of the world, getting um an outlook on different cultures, and learning different cultures and understanding them. You know what I'm saying? I think that could benefit your children greatly. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing we always hear is that, somebody ain't, never been like 10 miles past a block, or some, or even out of state. You know what I'm saying? But just think about, the very few that don't even go outside of, the country that they're in. You know what I'm saying? You get a very different outlook when you travel. And Jack was well traveled. Um, oh well, Chief got something to say. So, project-based learn focus heavily on critical thinking skills and the ability to focus on one's task for an extended period. What real-world examples would you give that parents could do now? Hmm.
Um, from what I've learned um, about project-based learning and the examples I saw, one of the examples was building, doing like an actual project. But these were parents who homeschool their children. So while the father was, laying out the roof with his sons, he was also teaching them geometry, you know, and he was showing them how to like lay out a roof. Like that's one aspect of it. You can also have a homesteading in general. From what I've seen of it, you're teaching your children how to accomplish a task, and you're also showing them that you know things have to be maintain. So you have a chicken coop and you tell one of your youth, all right, you're in charge of the chicken. They have to understand what these chicken need, how they can apply that in their future in life, you know, whether it is a business or whether it is a house, or even if it, when they have their own family, they learn that there's certain processes that have to be in place for anything to run smoothly. And you have to really understand that thing in order to maintain it properly and in order to make sure that it grows, you know, because it could die under your watch, like in Roots, you know, when the goat died, it got killed by a leopard, you know, and he learned the hard way that you don't take your eyes off of your charges, no matter what. That's one real world example that I could give.
I would say learn the martial science just because he learns like three different martial sciences. He learns archery, he learns basically bow staff, you know, and he learns the Tao sword. You know what I'm saying? So I would say a real world example is learning the martial arts, a martial science, um, and more than one. I will also say well, he does learn horseback riding, and I would want to tie that into learning animal husbandry. In a sense, you know, uh, just cause that was in that's a real world example. Um, and then I would say uh economics, in a sense where you introduce your children to like Bitcoin and stocks and things like that. Only because I that's what I thought of when I saw the caravan um, come through in that one scene. You know, he's basically learning trade, even though you don't see it. You know what I'm saying? So you want to give your your kids a critical learning on economics and its many shapes and forms as well, I would say. You know, so yeah, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah, there's also the value of having an experience. You know, once you learn something by doing it, you know, you start, like Chief was saying, you gotta have critical thinking. If your pop say, "All right, lay out the roof based on what we did yesterday," you know, you may think you know because you did it with them yesterday, but then you reach a certain step, and then after a while you realize, oh, he was doing all of the thinking for me. Now I gotta think. You know, okay, we did this that time, but no matter how many times I keep cutting it, I keep getting it wrong. You know, now you got to tap back into the source, and you also realize that collaboration is important. You realize that even retention and being focused on what's happening in the moment is very important as well, because that allows you to not only recall but also adapt to what's going on, which is, you know, like I said earlier, is something that Jack is very adept at. I think you were talking about um, that scene when they were running from when they were running the Kemet, you know, when they saw the caravan, and it's also interesting that he learned, you know, he learned scholarship. He didn't just learn how to fight, you know, and that actually came in handy when he was putting together the blueprints for the strategy in episode 3. But there's also another episode sometime later in the series where he and there were these entities that were summoned called the minions of Set, and they did not play around with him. He could not outfight them. He had to basically outthink them. So he had to strategize, he had to hide, but he was there before. So he was like, all right, where did I see the instructions on how to defeat these minions? You know, and he had to go through and he was reading. but he had to read. You know, if he never went there, he wouldn't have known how to defeat these entities. But yeah, a lot of these tools that he learned in these 3 episodes, or even just in this first episode, they saved his life like throughout the whole series.
Yeah, I will also say, basically give your children an apprenticeship, because that's basically what he was doing. He was basically having an apprenticeship. So I think that's another real world thing that you could do. Um, plan to give your children an apprenticeship, whether it be martial science or even economics or agriculture, any skill set that will help them in their own future. You know what I'm saying? Because all the skill sets that he had, um, helped them out in the future with the canines. You know what I'm talking about, and things like that. So yeah, I will also say that as well, bro. You're on mute, bro.
Yeah, good. I was saying something y'all shouldn't have heard. But yeah. Yeah, but when he was very young, he took that charge, very seriously that his father gave him, because he also experienced it. It wasn't like some legend and it was like a surprise when he saw it. His father just told him about it and then it happened. And it was very real for him. So his level of determination also pushed him while he was learning these different skills. You could see as he got older, he got a lot more confident. And that actually, um, it was a weakness in a way that Aku was a weakness that his father had to tell him about when he came back. Once he was a man and he went to his mother, and he basically received that sword. He went to free his father. Do we need to find projects for our children to do when we are not involved in projects of value ourselves? Could they not just be absorbed into homestead tasks? Yeah, exactly. It's better for them to learn how to manage the homestead, because if you're not involved in homestead tasks, or if you're not involved in building your own homestead, I've seen like a lot of funnels right back into Babylon. Like you could teach them um, wonderful skills like business skills, tech skills, but they feed it right back into Babylon. So if you're tethered to that system, then whatever you give to your children, they're gonna offer it right back to that system. That's what I've seen. I haven't seen anything to the contrary. Maybe if they teach them these things and then they bring it back to the community, but then they would have to have that culture in place. Yeah. What do you think, Brother Low?
I would say, yeah, because one, you learn the value of property and I guess the value of family as well, and ownership and governance of your own homestead. Uh, okay, but I will also say, do you think of expansion? Because here I am, like, I'm thinking about conquering and stuff. He's like, yeah, you can learn things about your homestead, but then here comes expansion. I want to expand stuff. I want, I want to conquer. I want to run people over for their stuff. Break yourself, fool. But that's right. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that thought just really came in my mind, and I was like, do I really want to say it? I'll say it, But yeah, learn those things around the whole set is good. But of course, I would say, but you also want to know how to expand, how to conquer, and and also know when to go nomad and when to stay. You got to know when to get in, when to get out. And things like that. But yeah, as for basics, as for basics and ground based things, yeah, you want to start off with just uh, absorption of the homestead. I would say that.
I give thanks, give thanks. I know you and I speak a lot about like you show me all of these awesome shows. Every time we talk, I feel like I leave with a list because you've seen all of these shows and you know how valuable the knowledge of politics is. When it comes to power, it's not just about hitting someone over the head with a club, but actually sustaining what it is that you take. You know, and not just running it into the ground once you've taken it. So even with that, having a knowledge of how to run a homestead is good. But politics, how important is politics in that, or how does politics fit into that?
Man, I would say politics is key because you have to govern and self manage in a sense, and also you have to also know um how to make alliances and basically I would say govern the state, because a homestead is its own state, what I'm talking about? And you have to know, how to pick and choose your allies, or if you know who to trade with and who not to trade with, and who's your enemy and who's not your enemy. You know what I'm saying? And how far you need to, basically have them away from your own homestead. And it also teaches you how to protect your homestead, probably with your mouth and your brain, where before you have to think about going to war. Like here we go. Like the pimp say, you got to be one with this, not with this. What I'm talking about? So, beat this. You got to do this before you do it. So that's how I learned it. So I would say that. Hold on, here Chief come with a question. Um, what do you mean a homestead is its own state? I mean, a homestead is its own state in the sense that um you have dominion over it. You own. You're its owner. You're its ruler. So your homestead will be its own state in a sense, because if you are the man, then you rule over the homestead. So basically, you rule over your own state, or estate, but I just said state just because we was talking about politics. So that's how a homestead can be a state, because you're governing the ins and out of what goes into and what goes into your homestead, and how it's viewed outside um, of it. I would say, because even in politics, you have to have a rapport with other nations and and whatnot, and even other foreign nations. If you want to make deals and alliances, so I would say it goes with the same thing in the homestead. You don't want your homestead looking all raggedy. You don't want the people that reside in that homestead looking all raggedy and misrepresenting the state. In that sense, uh, like look, I always talk about like the sci-fi show Babylon 5, and it is basically about being a Galactic United Nations, right? And then one thing happens in this one episode, like one ambassador tells his attaché or his aide, to you gonna go with the into the peace talks. And he says, whatever you do, don't give away the home world. that's and both, and because they're enemies, and both ambassadors do that with both of their eggs. They said whatever, do whatever you want, but don't give away the home world. You know, you probably want to tell your the people the people in your home said the same thing. You know, don't give away the homestead. You know what I'm saying? Um, that goes with being secretive, you know, and non gossipy. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to give away your hand in politics. You know what I'm saying? Because you're you'll be at the subject of your adversaries or rival states mercy. So you never want to give away the you never want to give away the homestead. You know, you always want to have, I guess, anonymity in a sense, you know, when it comes to that. I try to watch Battle. It was so cheesy. I'll try again, but those aliens and Halloween masks were throwing me out. I mean, but Chief, I mean, it's like this. You get the same thing in dang on Star Trek. The difference is I was always into the politics and the philosophy and the philosophy that Babylon 5 was talking about. So I wasn't really thinking about the outfits, because when I was looking at the Narn and the Centauri, I was like, man, that reminds me of the dang on Palestinian conflict or whatever. When I'm looking at the Barbari and whatnot, I'm thinking of this. I'm thinking of, modern states or trying to, what I'm saying? And then, they meet the first ones and things like that, what I'm talking about? This shit happens on serial. Yes, I'm not gonna debate with you, but but there was, I mean, you had dang on dog fights and everybody had their own types of spaceship. You don't even you sort of don't get the dang on space battles in Star Trek, but you get that in Babylon 5, you know what I'm talking about? And then they fight, ancient races, that's got technology probably way better than them. And you like, man, we gotta win this battle, or something like that. And you see how sometimes how ancient cultures can have a grip on newer species and things like that. I mean, okay, look, everybody ain't me, everybody ain't me, but I'm just saying, I found it interesting. you know, it was cool to me.
All right, I think it can be heard, but I was experiencing a lot of choppiness, and I'm sure it was from my side. So let me know if I start glitching and doing a robot. But yeah, with the politics piece, something you said was interesting was knowing who your enemy is and knowing who your ally is. Can the home be likened to an incubator or training grounds for the nation being built? Um, I don't know. It may be subjective to the way the homestead, like what the homestead is being built for, because like to me, it is sort of a training grounds, but not really. It is a training ground. The training ground is a part of the homestead. Is an aspect of the homestead. We need to train the youth that come later, but it is there for a purpose. It's not just there to train people, to train people, to train people. What are you being trained for? So it is sort of like an incubator, but also it could be its own headquarters, depending on how it's even set up. You may have a main home here and a main home over there, which is I mean like a secondary home over there or a tertiary home over there, and they may be on the same um, plot of land even, or in the same area, or different areas. I think it may depend on how it's set up, because then if you have a bunch of different um, states, then one state may be responsible for training. Another state may be responsible for industry. So does the state where people go to industry first have to do the people who go to deal with industry first have to go through the training route? You know, like, I don't know. Like, it's, to me, it's subjective, because how do you want to set up your homestead? There's so many different ways you could do it, you know, and it even goes back to the politics, like, and your culture, like the way you do things, you know.
Oh,
Okay, loud and clear. All right, good, thanks.
okay.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, if you see your children as, if you are a scientist, and I guess a a well, you could take training around in so many things, but I mean, if you see them as like a science experiment, or just kids in the sense like they're animals. Now I'm thinking, they don't lean on me. You treat them like animals. That's exactly how they behave, you know. Um, but but you know, I guess children are not kids in the sense of animals. They're your bloodline and they're your lineage. So you wouldn't basically treat them like test subjects or things to be put in a pen. You know what I'm saying? You you basically, I say, fashion your homestead to where they can grow into, I would probably say, into a new evolved you, or something like that. I, I don't know. I just thought of, here's another thing. I thought of the end of Carlito's Way. We was talking about his kid and how he's going to be the new improved Carlito Brigante. So I thought of that. But yeah, uh, that I think that's my answer to that. But Chief says it can be an incubator for new world order soldiers. Right now, it cultivates diseased children who are trained to rule their parents, like the Nazi, not not Nazi youth, or yeah, it's in the history, about the Hitler Youth, and how they used to snitch on their parents if they wasn't with the system. Um, but I would also say you'll probably see that with other fascist regimes as well. You know, probably even among the dang on Italians, because they were snitching on the mafia. you know, I look at my children um, like this. Dest- Destructicons. They're my army. Destruct. This, this was that a transform? Destructicons. I ain't never heard of Decepticons, Autobots, Maximals, Predacons. I ain't never heard of the Destructicons. But hey, whatever works. You know what side they are. you know.
Yeah, but I don't know, with Jack, when you see he goes through all of these things and he learns all of this stuff, the mind still has to be trained. Like, he gets a little bit from his father when he's young, but when he goes back, like, he has to get some more correction, because he comes back on some Rambo stuff. Like, nah, I'll take care of everybody. I got the sword. Yeah, don't worry about the plan. I am the plan. You know what I mean? So it's when he rescues his father, who basically gets the worst treatment during the enslavement aspect. And I gotta say, as an evil overlord, um, Aku is excellent. Like, he's got a good resume. You know what I mean? Because he has everybody building monuments. He knows how to punish people. To keep everybody in line. He makes an example of his enemies. He's running the evil empire properly. And after Jack comes back and he rescues his father, um, he says, don't worry. with the power of the sword, I'll vanquish Aku. And his father like slaps the sword out of his hand. He's like, nope. You know, he basically, yeah, Destructicon, Sister Deja. He basically tells him, the sword is useless if you don't have the right mind. You know, I actually wrote it out because I thought it was so. I thought it was so poignant what he said. I thought once like you, but the sword is only a tool. What power has it compared to the hand that wields it? Evil is clever, and deception is its most powerful weapon. Let the sword guide you to your fate, but let your mind set free the path to your destiny. You know, and I thought that was real poignant because he's teaching his son that don't put all your faith in the sword. You're the one who wields the sword. The sword isn't the one that's wielding you. And he had to make sure that distinction was clear.
Yeah, bro. I would say the same thing about Aku, because he doesn't.
Exactly.
He's shrewd. He's shrewd, and he doesn't. He's not a tyrant in a sense where he's just beating the people over the head. Look, he's like, okay, you can live in our oceans, but you just gotta, build 10 monuments to me every month. You know what I'm saying? And he gives the people things that they can actually do that doesn't make him look bad in a sense, you know what I'm saying? But they'll put up with it because he knows what they need in a sense. I would also say that quote from Jack's father is also good. You know what I'm saying? Because when you was talking about it, here I am. Look, thinking about Bruce Lee. It's like a finger pointing to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory. It's like it's the same thing, you know what I'm talking about? But but yeah, as far as overlords go, even when he battles Jack the first time, he knows he's coming back. He's like, "Oh, I'm coming back. You ain't getting rid of me. That sword ain't getting rid of me." You know what I'm saying? If I had the same sword, and all it did was freeze me, for 1,000 years or whatever. But I'm coming back. You ain't getting rid of me that easily. I'm coming back better than ever, and that's what he did. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, man. He, yeah, as far as overlords go, because here I am thinking, I would have to really go in my mental Rolodex and think, who else was a good overlord? But right now, Aku was he's in the nominations. That's for sure. You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
Yeah, so Chief put a question in the chat. Yeah, how would you relate Samurai Jack to things of stoicness? There's a noble aloneness about him. Um, I really liked Jack when I was younger because um, I used to always like I was a loner, and the thing about that is that you could be around different groups of people, but it's like you don't belong to the group. You can relate to them in certain aspects, but you know that there's a different path set out for you. And he says it pretty explicitly to the canines at the end of the third show, where they're like, you're welcome to come with us if you want. And he's like, no, you know, I know what I have to do. My path is one, like, I gotta rid the world of Aku, and no one else could do it. You know, and you could see that because he was on top for thousands of years. You know, but even in terms of stoicness, like being self-reliant, um, you could see that no matter where Jack went, there were people who were from that area. They knew each other, but he was always like the stranger in a strange land. He lost his kingdom that he was supposed to have. He said he came for his birthright when he went to fight Aku. I like how he just runs up on Aku too. Like he didn't mince no words. He just came to Aku. Aku shows up and he's trying to run off his resume, and he's like, "Oh, you can't hurt me in no regular way." While he's talking and monologuing, he's like, "It's like Syndrome from the Incredibles." So like, "You sly dog, you caught me monologuing." he just cuts him, and he recognizes the sword and everything. But in terms of the stoicness, even his silence and his ability to be his own company, because who is he gonna attach himself to, or who is he going to really live around if he knows the magnitude of what he has to do? He has no time. Time is a very constant theme. Like he's really dead set on getting back to the past, even though um, even though him going back to the past would mean that time didn't really move. He's changing, and he will be carrying all of those changes with him. Later on in the series, it's shown that he's not actually aging because of the effects of time travel, but his mind is aging, and um, they don't show it in the first 4 seasons, but in the fifth season, they changed the rating from being child friendly and showing up on Cartoon Network. It gets a mature rating. They show more blood. They actually show him having mental issues as well, because he's alone for so long. He's very stoic, and he tries to stay out of trouble. He's rarely the one who starts a fight. I don't think I've ever seen him pick a fight with someone. You know, Usually when he fights is in self-defense. With all of this training that he got, he's still very reserved, and he has self-control. He's very quiet, and like he doesn't have too many people to speak with. He's like a calm Geralt of Rivia. you know. But yeah, what do you say to that, Brother Lowe, in terms of the stoicness?
Yeah, I would say like an example of this. He knows how to de-escalate or at least try to de-escalate a problem. You know what I'm saying? Especially like when he in the club. You know what I'm talking about? He in the club. Yes, I say in the club. When he in the club, one thing you see, look, you see the thick girls dancing on on tables and stuff and whatnot, but he's not swayed by that. You know what I'm talking about? And then he bumps into one of the guys, and you know what I'm saying. First thing he thinks about what he's going to do. You know what I'm saying, but then he's like, I'm sorry, I bumped into you. I deeply apologize. And this guy's ready to fight. He's still ready to fight, and he still apologized before he you know ready to fight. But then when homie, draws his weapon, what he gives him his last time, like I'm very sorry, I didn't mean to do it. It was my fault and everything, and I would much rather go out my way. Then but then he starts to fight. But other than that, he usually usually when you see things like that, usually it's the protagonist that starts to be the aggressor in a sense. Just one time somebody said something to him wrong and then they're ready to fight. With him, he's calm and he tries to control the situation where he tries to de-escalate it with words and sort of be like Sun Tzu in a sense where peace is the hardest thing. He tries to go the peaceful route. You know what I'm saying? But homie just won't let him go. So he got to bring out the sword. You know what I'm talking about? So I would say that speaks to his stoicness as well. She says, in the age of SJWs and political correctness, I doubt if a cartoon like this would would even be created. Yeah, in this era, yeah, I would say so. I would say so because it'll be like, why he gotta why he gotta be a man, why can't he be a woman, and why he gotta you know why he ain't talking so much, why he ain't expressing his feelings, you know um why is Aku black, with teeth, what you try to say, what I'm saying, or something like that, man. Let's see, why can't he be gender neutral, non-binary? What? Just a lot, just a lot. So yeah, it would be,
There
man.
are strong female roles in this. Why are the females damsels? Like, why they always losing? Why can't a woman win for once? You know, it goes on and on. But basically, it's like, why isn't it playing out like the story I have in my head? It's usually what it boils down to.
Yeah, I would say that. Like she said, the and the females were depicted in a very sexual way. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
yeah, because brothers
they're
on the
they're
sidewalk, they like,
females. I mean, you want them to look like you look like dudes. I mean, they gotta have hips. You know, they gotta have hips and bumps in places. You know, that's what makes them female. You know, that's what makes them cute. You know, like you know, like okay, Disney, like when Bambi finally, you know, and Flower and them and Thumper, you know, they finally understood, you know, the opposite sex. It was like, bye, homie. I'm about to go. I'm about to go hit. I'm about to procreate. And they all do it in a special way. You know what I'm saying? You got Flower. You know, he's like, sorry, homie. I'm go. You know, Thumper still thumping. You know. Cause he all turned up, you know, from the buddy and whatnot. And look, even Bambi does the same thing, but you can't make nothing like that nowadays. But yeah, you know, same thing. You know, yeah, you can't depict a woman being a woman, you know, or being feminine. So yeah, you know, gender neutral, I guess. You know, I don't know. I'm done.
yeah, I like Jock Stewartness and just him being a man. You know, he was just self reliant through the whole thing, and it was because of the training that he got as a youth, but also because like when you saw him, like when he went to the place and he realized like, okay, where am I? You know, he wasn't cowering in fear. He wasn't like scared or anything like that. He was just like, what's going on here? You know, who's in charge? That was like a cool moment too. He's like, all right, who's in charge here? Because remember, he's royalty, you know. So he's like, who's in charge here? It's like, oh, you don't see Aku. Aku sees you. He's like, what? You know, he looked around. He's like, something wrong here. You know, and then like, you could see like he's understandably stressed out. He's like, first of all, I don't understand what's going on with all these flying cars, or what he call a flying chariot. You know, I don't. Why is Aku's face everywhere? You know, who are all these strange creatures? And it was like, you might need some refreshments. So where do they send him at the strip club? You know, but that's a normal place to go for them because it's under Aku's rule. You know, and even with that fight in the strip club, and what I back to what I was saying about the MA rating, you know, they depict the enemies as firstly non-human and even non-biological, so that whenever something does occur or something does go down, when he killed something, you know, the violence is cool because it's not human. But in the in season 5 is different. You know, anybody could get it. You know, but oftentimes with biological people, I mean biological enemies, he would find a way to either talk things over, or he would trap them some way, or it would be very cryptic how the person lost. You know, but it was still handled pretty good. You get a lot of good fight scenes, including like when they went to when they had the Black Beatles come after them. You know, which I thought was cool how he basically used everything he had. He threw everything in the kitchen sink into that plant, and you know, he came out on top. And you know, the planning was there, the tactics was there. He even utilized the people who were around him. You know, like with the canines, it's like, all right, you all know how this stuff works. You're gonna put that there. You're gonna put that there. He looked around. He surveyed the surroundings. You know, that Bear Grylls thing: improvise, adapt, overcome. You know, he just looked around and he made the best of his situation. You know, he wasn't bemoaning the fact that he was alone. He was like, I gotta get back to where I came from so that I could undo this thing. He was always thinking of, all right, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? He wasn't like stuck in his feelings. You know, which I thought was always a cool aspect of him. Whenever he was in a situation where he he didn't know what to do, he would he would adapt very quickly because he's like, what I'm currently doing isn't working, So what haven't I tried yet? Because I tried this once, didn't work. I tried it again, it didn't work. If I keep doing this, I'm gonna die because he's always in a do or die situation as well. But he sets up the blueprint, and they show a lot of glimpses of just because he doesn't know what you know doesn't mean he's not smart. Like you can see it like when the dog hands him the pen, he doesn't know how to write with it. He has to click it, but he still writes out a plan. And even when he's putting his family crest down on the flag that he's carrying, and the dogs walk on it, he's like, "Yeah, that works." He doesn't fight. He doesn't go against the grain. Yeah, that's one of the things I like about Jack too.
Yeah, man. I like that too. All the skills they learn solves a problem. But then, like I say, you see how cool Aku is because what? Aku's not even seen, but he's seen everywhere because he got into marketing and things like that. And what? Yeah, I mean, he's running the city, but he don't see nobody. He bossing the guy. He bossing the gang. You don't see nobody. Aku sees you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, the other movie, Goodfellas. We talk about Polly. He's like, man, Polly moves slow, but that's because Polly didn't have to move for nobody. You know what I'm saying? He got everybody else to work for him and answer his calls and whatnot. Because he didn't use phones. And you see that. You know what I'm talking about? So you see the same thing with Aku. Basically the only time you actually got to see Aku was basically on a actually diplomatic meet, and that was with the aquatic people. You know what I'm saying? They were in dire straits, so they was given an audience. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, you didn't see the common people meeting Aku. You know what I'm saying? That'd be a headache. So yeah, man. Like I say, him with the canines was cool, and just even seeing the canine evolution, you know what I'm saying? And him telling them about their past, like, oh, y'all are good as pets, but y'all never talked, y'all only barked. And you're like, really? We're trying. We're archaeologists, and we're looking for our noble and great past. you know, I found that to be interesting, especially when Homie was looking like dang on Huckleberry Hound in the game. So yeah, man, that was cool.
Yeah, man. I also liked. I thought the Jack, because I rewatched it earlier today. I thought the name Jack was pretty smart on his part, even though like he gets found out right away. It's like he thinks on his feet. Nobody knows his real name, you know, because they ask him, "What's your name?" He's like, "I'm giving my name out in this Aku invested world." He eventually gets found out, but he still goes by Jack. You know what I mean? That's pretty interesting. And he was right. Aku had spies everywhere, and homegirl didn't take too long before she went to drop the dime on him. He's like, Aku, I saw this guy at the club. And, she starts ratting on him, and Aku was like, hold on, who's this fool? Like, oh, all right, you back. All right, I got you. I got something for you. You made me suffer in the past, I'll make you suffer in the future. And he doesn't go there himself. He sends his minions to do it, and he surveys them. So he even uses his minions as like cannon fodder to survey his strength. The first thing he says, "Oh, he's stronger than I remember." But you in my world now. You know what I mean? And we can meet, but we can meet when I say we can meet. At the time and place of my choosing. So he's already saying, I'm going to make sure that I have all the advantages when we do meet again. you know. But also you can see a contrast in Jack near the end of the battle, where in the beginning he's very calm and cool, but near the end he's like, nah, y'all ain't retreating. Y'all ain't getting away. Even when he's done and the dog was like, um, she said, yes, peace, always imagine that the history behind them is greater than their present, and not just a chronology of steps that led to present greatness. Um, are you, let me make sure I'm
I would
reading
say
this
he's
correctly.
talking about the canine.
Oh, the canine. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, with the canine, yeah, they did look at their past as something that was greater than them, and they were so intent on digging it up. Um, and they wanted to keep the dig site too, but after that fight, they was like, we're just gonna continue our nomadic lifestyle because in the process of trying to dig it up, they got enslaved. You know, in the same area where they were trying to dig up their past, they almost like they got stuck in the past. And Jack came and basically freed them from that area. So now they were free to go, and they actually come back in a later episode to help Jack when he like goes on an assault against Aku. So it was interesting to see like all the people he helps. He usually meets them again. Oh, okay, yeah. Chief was he was referring to the Canaanites, but yeah, people in general, they do see their past as greater than their present greatness. Um, I don't. Do you think that's because people see the future as something um, scary? I've noticed that with some people.
Well, I would say because the future is unknown and you don't know, and if you're not steering your future, then anything is liable to happen. When you're not in charge of your future, anything is liable to happen. So people look to their past, possibly. Well, there's many reasons, but some people look to their past just to say, basically, be arrogant or to basically pontificate on what they're not doing in their present. I would say that. Look at what we did. We did this. We did that. We did it. Yeah, but what you doing now? You know what I'm saying? We can always go back and basically have a mental masturbation on what we did in the past, only to keep us not doing anything in the present. Whereas in historically in other cultures, people use, even if it wasn't their own culture, they use those things in the past to say, look what we should be doing, and this is what we need to do. People use the Romans a lot, in a sense, where they got things done and to where they can get things done to mobilize their own cultures. You know what I'm saying? Um, or anybody else. If you're going to use or look back to the past, let it be to mobilize you or unify your culture to where y'all get things done, or get actionable things done to propel your future. I would probably say that. But yeah, people probably use it to self-grandize, have delusions of grandeur, and things like that, and also to manipulate, you know, to manipulate those that don't even know their own history. So you get somebody and then you get manipulated to probably, give them money for things they ain't gonna build, things like that. I mean, uh when you don't know it, you get taken advantage of. But don't just look at it um as something to stop you from doing something in the present, but look at it as a way to propel you to do something in the present and in the future. You know what I'm saying? I would probably say that because you could probably look at the past, and be like, yeah, they did it like this, but we gonna do it like this. We gonna upgrade. Yeah, they did it like that. We can take that, but we gonna we gonna do it one better. Something like that. Um, as it propels you to action. In the present, not to stagnate you in the present. I would say it like that.
Yeah, you even see it like on a small scale. I was thinking like it's funny when you said manipulate. At the same time, what came to mind was when we were younger. It's like doing the dishes. Whose turn is it to do the dishes? And it was like, well, I did the dishes last 4 or 5 times. Or I did the dishes yesterday. Or I did the dishes today. Why I gotta wash this plate? As opposed to this place supposed to be clean. Now if you see a issue where, hold on, I just cleaned the kitchen and I left the kitchen a couple hours ago and I came back and there's a dish here. I left again. All right, who keeps leaving this dish here? Because that's not how we do things. That's different from what my mother used to call counting work. She would always say, "Stop counting work." You know, if you're doing something, you're doing it because it needs to be done. You're not doing it because you know you want like a get out of jail free card. So the next time work comes up, well, I did the last thing, so I ain't in it. I got immunity. Y'all can't vote me up either.
I went to church last week. I got to go to church this week. Something like that. I paid tithes last week. I paid my dollar already. Why I gotta go again and pay some more tithes? Something like that. It's contractionary when it comes to that. It's like, okay, if I do this, you know, do does this happen? I'm saying I did that last week. I did, yeah. Not as it's not the righteous thing to do, or anything like that, or it's just something needs to be done. It's always something like, okay, man, I always do the dishes. It's your turn. Your turn to sleep at the foot of the bed or something like that. Um, but that goes with us. I guess that also goes to the to the problem of there not being a standard or a standard, man, why I want to say SOP, standard of practice, or or something like that. It plays, to where it's like, this is what we do, and this is the standard. You know what I'm saying? And you gonna uphold the standard because you part of the lineage or something like that. But it's never like that. It's like, okay, I do this, don't I get a reward for that? Don't I get time off for good behavior or something like that? It keeps you, I guess, in a prison in a sense, where okay, I did this, I worked on a chain gang. Ain't you gonna give me my biscuit, because I already worked on a dang on railroad and I put in hours of work. Don't I get how much time do I get off? Oh, you get like 1.5 years. I don't know, but something like that. It's sort of reactionary. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just a standard of practice or a standard of action, that propels you to, do or anything like that, or to teach you to always keep moving and be actionable. I would probably say that as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man, for sure. Another thing that I did notice too about this character is he does ask a lot of questions. Talking about, just referencing the standards you were talking about. He usually asks, like, he wants to know how things are done around here because he's really keen on not offending no one. He's been in a lot of people's houses. You know what I mean? So once he knows what the customs are, he's like, all right, I know what not to do. Even though he kept wearing that crest, and he made it clear, like, nah, this is my family. This our bloodline. but he always made sure he was really respectful. That's why when the alien, another reason why when the alien got him staring, he was like, sorry, I'm new here, and I didn't mean to offend you. He went straight there. You know, that right there shows how, um, like a contrast between how normally children would behave in this type of society where you tend to like always have like your quills up, if you're porcupine. Like even dude was like, what you staring at, human? He was expecting for him to fire back, but he grew up in an area where everyone is supposed to show respect. You introduce people to each other, you treat them with respect, and you always remember them, and you remember what they teach you. But here it is now. He's in a situation where he's moving off of these principles, and it's not working. So that was another interesting thing, and
Here we
I
go.
think that lent
I
itself
got
well
another
to
one.
the
Lion
dude.
King. Lion King. I'm only brave when I have to be. Simba, being brave doesn't mean you go looking for trouble.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi is messing up. You frozen on my side. Oh, I guess the correct term is I'm frozen. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, I heard you laugh after you said something. I don't know what you said though.
Oh, I was quoting Lion King when he was talking about Simba gets in trouble from the hyenas, and he was talking to his father, and he was like, I'm just trying to be brave like you, and I'm only brave when I have to be. Simba, being brave doesn't mean you go looking for trouble. And you see the same thing with Samurai Jack. I'm talking about. We know he could fight, and he could fight many ways, but he's not looking for trouble. You know what I'm saying? He's not sticking out his chest. He's not being sensitive and reactionary. He's, like I say, he's de-escalating the situation before it gets worse. He's trying to be diplomatic in that sense, at least. Before all of that, he's trying to be diplomatic and say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm new here. You know, and things like that. I don't know the ways. But I apologize. But also, I would say you see Jack do what Chief talks about in one podcast when he said, ask how more than why. And that's what she Jack doing. He's asking how you do this, how you do that. Learning. In a sense. He's asking how more than why. He's not asking like why. Why is Aku, the leader here and things like that. He's asking, well, how do I do this? How does this go? What's the ways of this place? This place is foreign to me. How do I do this? So I like that about Jack. You know what I'm saying?
I think this is a sign. I think it's a sign we need to wrap it up. Uh, yeah, my Wi-Fi is messing up, and on this island, no matter how good your stuff is, if the Wi-Fi don't want to work, it ain't gonna work. So I think this might be a good time to close off. I'll have to rewatch to catch the last comment, but yeah, I think you're clear now though. You're moving pretty smooth now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but any closing comments before or anything else
okay.
you saw that you
Well,
wanted to touch on?
join us next round. Will join me next round. Uh, when we gonna go into well, uh, your request and answers, because we gonna be talking about the Truman Show. So then you gotta hold on just one more straw, and it's all your show. But we gonna get into it. We gonna get into it. But this request has been there for a long time, so I gotta get to it first. So we gonna get into the Truman Show, what I'm talking about, and we gonna talk about that, and then we gonna get into the kingdom, but we on the we gotta get on the Truman Show, and whatnot. So we gotta check that off the box, so. Sister, you are not the redheaded stepchild. You never the redheaded stepchild. It's just that certain things are time constraints, But I would never treat you like the red stepchild. Remember, you undefeated when it comes to daggone requests. It's just that, I got to sort of get to, like I said, this one's been there for a long time, so I really got to get to it now that I got an opportunity to get to it. So I'm gonna get to it. You know what I'm saying? But yours, we gonna get into, and it's gonna be good. But you got the patience to wait on. But I mean, you're never the redheaded stepchild. No, that's Jermaine. Her request. She bad to it all right now. So right now, we treat her as the redheaded stepchild. You good? You VIP? You got platinum status.
Putting into actually, diving into it. He doing you a solid. He making sure you get the best. Only the best for you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We got to come with it. Like I say, I got to come with so much history when it comes to dang on, Kingdom of Heaven. So look, you got to wait, but don't worry. We gonna get into your stuff. You know what I'm saying? We gonna get to you. But we gotta do this Truman Show. You know what I'm talking about? Because it's been there for months. So it's been there for months. So yeah. No problem. The knock shot. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, that's what we do it, and we gonna close out because we pretty much done with it. So man, look, good things, I guess. Okay. Ooh, we can get into your schedule when it comes to the animes. We gonna do
yeah, the next one was gonna be Dr. Stone.
Yes. Dr. Stone, bruh. I love Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone's good. We're gonna get a Dr. Stone in science. You can see it on many platforms. We getting into 1 and 2, seasons 1 and 2.
If we could, yeah, if we could, I'm on 2 now. I'm on Stone Wars now, but the watch, just in case you might get confused with the names, the order to watch in, and it's just Doctor Stone, and then Stone Wars is like season 2.
Yeah. Also, just for a heads up, because Emma Precious in the room. Dr. Stone is good for the children. It's cool. We ain't gonna do you dirty. Dr. Stone's cool. It's for children. Just in case. They got a big square head boy like Sean Mason on there anyway. You gotta come here. You fit right in. But it's for the children.
Make sure if they're doing experiments, you supervise them, because there's some experiments that could be, they need adult supervision. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might need adult supervision, because there's all of the science in the show works. Like, it was reviewed by physicists and everything. So it's in alignment with scientific theory. So when you get simple mixtures that require 3 ingredients, I don't know where they would get them, but I don't know. Things are accessible in the States. So if they get a mind to do it, make sure they tell you that they want to do an experiment, so they don't wind up making gunpowder. Yeah, So yeah, there's a lot of recipes in there. Just saying.
Okay, look, he's like, I must be the plot. Like, No, you're not the plot. It's just that your request be on like Paramount Plus and whatever. Like, I don't even have Paramount. Like, dang, But we look, like I said, as time look, as these things become available, because they usually switch streaming platforms. So as soon as it becomes available, I will get to your request. But I just be waiting for them to go on platforms that actually have or something like that. But um, yeah, I be checking for MRLs. It's like, man, all others seem like they on Paramount or something. But when it comes to Doctor, yeah, when it comes to Doctor Stone again, all the science is is obtainable and whatnot. Even in the manga, it tells you, don't do this at home. Don't try this at home because it is real. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they do. Hey, oh, what's that card game where you switch cars with people? I forget. But anyway, yeah, it's like that. Yeah, it keeps becoming unavailable. Yeah. So yeah, Doctor Stone. Season 1 is Doctor Stone, then is Doctor Stone Wars, which is good. You know what I'm saying? It's just good. It's science and I would say science and Lord of the Flies at the same time in a sense, but without Piggy getting killed and whatnot. But it's sort of like that. It's science and Lord of the Flies in a sense. Kill the beast, bash his brain. Okay, but yeah, that's all time we have for while I go into more movies. You know what I'm saying? In my mental Rolodex. So give thanks everybody, that vodka shot, and we
Oh,
will see y'all.
uh,
Oh,
Pedro, I think that's Avatar: The Last Airbender you were asking about. That's actually the month, so that's March. Okay, so far what I've got on the calendar is Doctor Stone is next month. Avatar is after that. Then after that in April is a show called Your Lie in April, and then in May we have Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Right, so you could always go back and replay this, skip to the end if you have to, and you can watch all of those in advance. So like we can have something to talk about. We could chop it up about them. Yeah, all of them are really good shows.
yeah. I'm like, oh man, what? Full Metal Brotherhood for sure. I've never watched it, but all my friends watched. They love Full Metal Alchemist, but I never got into it. So that's something I'm gonna have to put on my list because I never watched it.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's Full
definitely.
Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, not Full Metal Alchemist. There's a difference.
Right,
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is apparently the good one. Full Metal Alchemist is not, it's men, but it's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Keep
right.
that in mind.
With Full Metal Alchemist, like live like for people who like they hear manga and they hear anime and they want to know the difference. With manga is like the almost like the comic book form, and that's what anime is based off of. Like how you have the MCU, but you have the comic books that those stories are based off of. You had all of the Marvel comic books. But what happens sometimes with the anime is sometimes they start it before the manga is finished. So if the anime catches up with the manga and they're waiting for new chapters to come out, you know, it there's no telling how long that would take, but they can't lose their audience. So sometimes they make what's called filler episodes. What happened with Full Metal Alchemist is there was a point where like there were no chapters coming up, so they winged it. You know what I mean? Like they made their own story, based off of where it left off. And with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, that's like the true to the manga adaptation. So that's the one you want to watch. All right, so, because it's closer to it obeys the source material basically. Yeah, yeah. So peace, everyone.
So peace.
Yeah,
Peace. We see y'all next round.
yeah, definitely give thanks. Peace.
Give thanks. Peace.